The billionaire stood frozen in the doorway, his polished shoes quiet against the marble floor, but his heart thundered inside his chest. Before him, inside the grand ballroom where silence had once mirrored his grief, an unexpected sight unfolded. A young black janitor, sleeves rolled up and face glowing with unfiltered joy, was holding both hands of his paralyzed daughter, spinning and swaying with her to music only they could hear. The little girl, confined to a wheelchair since the accident that had changed everything, wore the brightest smile he had seen on her face in 2 long, painful years. She laughed, not out of politeness, not out of someone's urging, but from a place deep in her soul that hadn't breathed in sunlight for far too long. For the first time since the crash, she looked alive. And in that moment, the billionaire realized something he never expected. He, with all his wealth, power, and control, had failed her in the one thing that mattered most. If you believe in the power of kindness, second chances, and the miracles that can happen when strangers care, then please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs to see this, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps spread hope in a world that desperately needs it. Henry Caldwell was the kind of man newspapers loved and employees feared. A billionaire real estate tycoon known for building half the city skyline, he also built walls around his heart after the tragic death of his wife. When his daughter Ava became paralyzed after a devastating car crash, a crash that claimed her mother's life, those walls turned to steel. Henry withdrew from everything that reminded him of life before the accident, including the very girl who needed him most. He hired the best doctors, the top therapists, and built a luxurious in-home facility for her rehabilitation, but he never stayed long in her room. Looking at her reminded him of everything he had lost. And while Ava tried to hide her pain behind forced smiles and soft nods, inside, she was fading. Ava had once been full of life, an aspiring ballerina, the kind of girl who danced in supermarket aisles and made strangers smile without trying. The accident took more than her ability to walk, it stole the light from her spirit. Though surrounded by gold-plated elevators and servants trained in etiquette, she felt invisible. She didn't need opulence. She needed laughter. Music. Connection. Something real. Enter Jamal Thomas. A 32-year-old janitor, recently hired by the Caldwell Estate staffing agency. He wasn't polished. He didn't come with degrees or suits. But he came with something no one in that mansion seemed to carry anymore: humility, warmth, and an ability to see people, not positions. Jamal had grown up in the foster care system, bouncing between homes and schools until he aged out. Life hadn't been gentle with him, but it had taught him how to recognize pain in others, especially children pretending to be okay. When he first saw Ava during his rounds, she was by the window, staring out at the garden with eyes that looked far too old for a girl of 11. He didn't speak to her right away. He didn't want to startle her or seem intrusive. But over days, he began to hum softly while mopping near her door. Old jazz songs, soul ballads, anything that reminded him of his late grandmother who raised him until she passed. One day, he noticed Ava's hand tapping along with the rhythm. That was his invitation. He started bringing a small Bluetooth speaker tucked in his supply cart. Slowly, he would talk to her, never about her injury, never about her grief. Just little things. The weather. What her favorite snack was. Whether she liked Stevie Wonder. She barely answered at first, but over time, her curiosity peeked through. One day, she asked him why he always sang while cleaning. Because music, he said, is how my soul remembers it's still alive. That afternoon, he asked, "Wanna dance with me?" Her brows furrowed. "I can't." But he smiled. "Sure you can. Dancing's not just about feet. It's about feeling." He gently took her hands and began swaying them side to side, moving his own body around her wheelchair. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't rehearsed. But it was pure. This became their ritual. Every afternoon, after the nurses finished their sessions and the mansion grew quiet, Jamal would find Ava and dance with her. Her laughter began returning in full form, her shoulders relaxing, her smile turning genuine. She asked him to teach her how to clap in rhythm. He did. She asked if he could push her wheelchair to spin like a ballerina. He did that too. And he always made sure she felt like she was leading the dance, not being guided. Unbeknownst to them, one of the housemaids, Maria, noticed the transformation in Ava. She was the one who discreetly notified Mr. Caldwell. "You should see your daughter," she had whispered with tears in her eyes. "Something beautiful is happening." Henry didn't expect much. Perhaps a mild improvement, a smile here and there. But nothing could prepare him for what he saw when he entered the ballroom unannounced that Thursday afternoon. His daughter, twirling in her wheelchair, head tilted back in laughter, with a janitor dancing circles around her, both lost in a world without pain or pretense. For the first time in years, he didn't see her wheelchair. He saw Ava, the child he'd forgotten how to reach. Jamal noticed him too late. Embarrassed, he immediately stopped. "Sir, I'm sorry, I was just," but Henry held up a hand. He didn't speak for a long moment, his eyes locked on Ava's radiant face. Then, almost inaudibly, he whispered, "Thank you." In the days that followed, everything changed. Henry asked to join them. At first awkward, unsure how to move to music, unsure how to even speak with his own daughter. But Ava pulled him in. She taught him the moves Jamal had shown her. She forgave him without needing words. Jamal, surprised by the billionaire's vulnerability, stayed humble but firm. He reminded them both that healing didn't come from fixing, it came from feeling. Soon, Henry made a decision that shocked the media. He publicly announced a new foundation in his wife's name, aimed at funding expressive arts therapy for children with disabilities. And at its heart, he credited the janitor who reminded my daughter how to dance and reminded me how to live. Jamal was offered a position as Director of Creative Wellness for the foundation, with full scholarship access to pursue a degree in music therapy. He almost refused at first, he didn't want pity or favors. But Henry said, "This isn't charity. This is purpose." Ava continued her recovery with renewed strength, eventually regaining some movement in her upper body thanks to her therapy and emotional growth. She gave speeches with her father at events, telling audiences, "Jamal didn't just teach me to dance, he taught me I wasn't broken. I was just waiting for the right rhythm." If this story touched your heart, if you believe in unexpected heroes, in second chances, and in the music of compassion, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support keeps these stories alive and reaching hearts around the world. Special request, let us know in the comments, what's one act of kindness that changed your life or someone you love? Your story might just inspire someone else to dance again.